Welcome to another episode of this series, and I want to do something very specific today. I want to bake practically the UV information into the UV tag, so I don't need really the projection camera anymore. This is not something that I would suggest during the project, but if you have to give the work further, or you want to have a copy of the whole thing, or wherever you need maybe a camera-free solution, that is maybe where this makes sense. And of course, in the moment it is stored in the UV tag here, it is maybe a little bit more safe than to have a camera here that you maybe unlock one time and then you move it maybe around and then the whole illusion is gone. Okay, what I want to do here is, of course, first to take a look. We have in the material, in the attributes manager and the texture tag, the projection set to camera mapping. In the moment I get rid of this camera here, I lose the idea where the projection is. And I can't get it back with something else. You see, it's not really working here. And this is set to front, and so it doesn't make really sense. Okay, so what I want to have here is camera mapping, and I want to have my projection camera inside, and here we go again. So I check this on, and the rendering works. And even if I use the animation here, the green cameras, the animated ones, then everything works fine. So without the camera here inside, the PCam camera, nothing works. So the next part would be, of course, to check what would happen if I go to my texture here, texture tag, and change the projection to UV mapping. I get this result here. Not very funny, and I think we saw that before. That's not usable at all for the camera projection idea that we had. So we go here back now to camera mapping. I have selected this guy here, and I stay in the cube. I go to polygon, press Command or Control A to select all the polygons that I want to have. I can, of course, go to the backside and deselect areas. And just to make that clear what we're doing here, I go with Command or Control on Windows to this area here and deselect. So you see exactly that the selection is needed. With this selected, I go then to tags and to assign UV coordinates. And you see here immediately that these guys here stay now in the old way as we had it when we had UV mapping in the first place on. Anything else that was selected has now gotten the UV information from the camera mapping. If I go now back, select this one, shift, click here, and go here again back to camera mapping, it fixed it. But in the moment I go back to UV mapping, I have the old problem here with the cubic projection. So back to camera mapping, and I do the same trick again. Tags, assign UV tag, the texture tag from this material is selected, and done. So now comes the test. When I go now back here to camera mapping, I get exactly this. I can clear it, lose everything, but surprise, in UV mapping everything is inside. I don't need camera mapping anymore, and I could even go and delete this camera. Don't do this. It's only a camera, but maybe you want to do it in a copy or so, or what you send out to someone. So you get only exactly this. And now I move my guy here, my animated camera, and it sticks. And that's the beauty. Now all the information is here in this UV tag, exactly as we wanted it. And I would rename it so you don't mess up with that. This is one of the common problems. When you have a lot of UV tags, they just have all the same name. And that confuses, of course. When you go then to Body Paint UV Edit, and you have a look here to the UV mesh, show UV mesh, you get exactly this here. And when you put the texture on, everything fits exactly. There is no change or something like that. It's just like that. UV tags, UV, WPC. And the W is normally for the third dimension. UV is normally for 2 for images. And the W is more for 3D shaders, just to give you that information if you don't know that already. Okay, so here we can see that everything is inside of that, even without a camera. And I could adjust now here even. This is a huge mess with all these fillets and all of that. But it's now, as I would call it, baked in. And that was the idea behind the whole drill. If that is always useful in the daily production, I don't know. I found it useful to explain this because it makes more clear what we are doing finally with all of that. Because camera projection is just one different projection method in Cinema 4D and nothing super special, but it's very effective when we want to work with stuff that we get from the outside. Thanks for listening. See you in the next one.